If you have spent 5 minutes on the internet, you have seen the number 15%. That is the average acceptance rate for CRNA schools. And when you see that, you do the math. If I apply, there's an 85% chance I fail. I am here to tell you that the 15% number is a lie. Well, statistically, it is true, but for you, it is irrelevant. That number includes the nurse who has never set foot in an ICU. It includes the applicant with a 2.5 GPA. It includes people who just hit submit without reading the requirements. Today, I am going to peel back the curtain on admissions data. I'm going to show you the funnel, and I'm going to prove to you that if you are actually qualified, your odds are not 15%. They are closer to 50%. Let's break down the math. Cut 1, the ghost applicant. Imagine a lecture hall filled with 500 nurses applying for 30 seats. That looks terrifying. But let's apply the first filter. We call this the ghost filter. Admissions committees use software to screen applications before a human even reads them. First, GPA. If a school requires a 3.0 and you have a 2.99, you are gone. The computer does not round up. Next, the CCRN. Many applicants apply thinking they will get their certification later, or they think their 5 years of experience outweighs the certification. But the application says required. The software sees a blank box where the certification number should be, and it auto-rejects. Then there are the prerequisite ghosts. The school asked for organic chemistry. You took biochemistry. You assume it's close enough. It isn't. So, out of those 500 people, 150 of them vanish instantly. They didn't read the instructions. They ignored the prerequisites, or they hoped for an exception that doesn't exist. You are now competing against 350 people, and you haven't even done anything yet except follow the rules. Cut 2, the experience myth. Now, a human being actually picks up the file. This is the clinical relevance filter. Schools require critical care experience, but a lot of nurses apply with ER experience, or PACU, or cath lab, or maybe they work in a low acuity community ICU. I want to be clear here. Schools know that ER nursing is incredible, but it is not anesthesia nursing. They know that recovering patients in the PACU is not the same as managing a ventilator and 3 pressors in the CVICU. They are looking for specific keywords in your essay and resume. Vasoactive drips, ventilator management, Swan-Ganz catheters, balloon pumps, CRRT, ECMO. If your application says, I monitor stable post-op patients, you are in the no pile. If your application says, I titrate Levophed, vasopressin, and EPI on fresh open hearts, you are in the yes pile. Conservatively, this clinical filter removes another 100 people. We started with 500. We are now down to 250. If you are a high acuity ICU nurse, you just beat half the room simply by showing up to work. Cut 3, the science reality. Now we get to the painful cut, the academic rigor filter. We have 250 nurses left, but Nurse Anesthetists school is heavy on science, physics, pharmacology, anatomy. Applicant A has a 3.5 overall GPA, but they got a C in organic chemistry 5 years ago. Applicant B has a 3.3 overall, but they retook chemistry last semester and got an A. Who gets the interview? Applicant B. Schools are terrified of attrition. They don't want students who will fail science boards. They look for current science aptitude. A huge portion of applicants rely on grades from their freshman year of college. Admissions committees look at that C in chemistry and think, this student struggles with hard science. Or they look at the date and think, this was 10 years ago. Do they remember anything? This is where the retake strategy comes in. If you retake a hard science class now and get an A, you wipe out the old grade in their eyes. But most people don't do that. They apply and hope for the best. This removes another 80 people. We are now down to roughly 150 candidates, from 500 to 150. I want to pause here for a second. If you are realizing right now that you might be one of the applicants getting cut, don't panic. You can fix this. I release videos every week breaking down the data, the salary, and the admissions hacks that schools don't tell you, so make sure you hit that subscribe button right now. It's the smartest investment you can make in your future career, and it's free. Now, let's talk about the next filter that nobody sees coming. Cut 4, the leadership gap. We are down to 150 qualified candidates. They have the grades, they have the ICU, they have the CCRN. How does a school pick 30 people from this group? They look for leadership. And I don't mean being a manager. I mean, do you do anything besides clock in and clock out? Are you a preceptor? Are you a charge nurse? Are you on the unit council? Did you volunteer for a medical mission trip? Did you shadow a nurse anesthetist for 40 hours? The applicant who just goes to work and goes home looks passive. The applicant who precepts new grads and sits on the skin committee looks engaged. Schools want leaders who will advance the profession. If your resume is just staff nurse, you are at risk here. This filter usually knocks out the lazy high performer, the smart nurse who doesn't do extra work. We are now narrowing down to the interview invites. Cut 5, the EQ trap. Most schools interview about 90 people for 30 seats. So now, you are sitting in the lobby. There are 90 of you. Your odds are now 1 in 3. 33%. That is a lot better than 15%. But here's the secret. You are not competing on clinical knowledge anymore. Everyone in that lobby knows what a receptor is. The interview is an EQ test, emotional intelligence. They are filtering out the arrogant nurse, the cowboy. I have seen brilliant nurses with 4.0 GPAs get rejected in 5 minutes. Why? Because when they were asked, tell me about a time you made a mistake, they said, I don't really make mistakes. Rejection, immediate. They are looking for teachability. They want the nurse who says, I made a medication error. It was terrible. Here's how I fixed it. And here's the system I built to make sure it never happens again. Roughly half the people in that chair will talk themselves out of a spot because they are too nervous, too arrogant, or too rigid. If you can sit in that chair, be humble, and demonstrate grit, you are now in the top 45 people for 30 seats. Do you like those odds? I love those odds. Conclusion, the multiplier effect. Now, let's manipulate the math one last time. Everything I just told you assumes you apply to one school. If you apply to one school, you are rolling the dice. But if you apply to 5 schools, the math changes drastically. If you are a qualified candidate, meaning you pass the filters we just talked about, you have roughly a 30 to 40% chance at any single school. If you apply to 5 schools, the statistical probability of you getting into at least one of them rises to over 80%. It is simple volume. You simply need one yes. So let's look at that 15% number again. It is a statistic that includes the unprepared and the unserious. It is a barrier designed to scare away the people who don't really want it. If you are willing to retake a class, get your CCRN precept on your unit, and work in a real ICU, you are not fighting a 15% war, you are fighting a 50-50 battle. And if you prepare for the interview, you can tip the scales to 90-10. Don't let a generic statistic stop you from a $300,000 career. I'm Wise CRNA. Now, I mentioned earlier that not all ICU experience is created equal. If you want to know if your specific unit is hurting your chances, or if you need to transfer to a CV ICU to even have a shot, click this video right here. I break down exactly what counts as high quality experience in the eyes of the admissions committee. Click it, and I'll see you there.